Earth did not collapse in fire. It did not scream as it died. There were no final explosions, no sudden darkness. Instead, the world faded quietly. The skies were still blue, yet they felt empty. The oceans still moved, yet they carried no life in their rhythm. Forests stood tall, but their silence felt unnatural, as if they were waiting for something that would never return. Humanity had achieved what ancient civilizations once called impossible. Disease had been defeated. Hunger was solved. Aging was slowed to a point where time itself felt negotiable. And yet, something essential was missing. People no longer looked at the stars with curiosity. They no longer asked what lay beyond the horizon. They consumed. They existed. They repeated. Purpose quietly disappeared. Cities grew brighter at night, glowing like artificial constellations. Machines worked endlessly, guided by artificial minds that never slept. Traffic flowed perfectly. Energy never failed. Life became effortless. And when life becomes effortless, meaning begins to die. Humanity was not destroyed by disaster. It was erased by comfort. The realization did not come suddenly. It crept into human consciousness slowly, through empty conversations, through children who no longer asked questions, through elders who stopped telling stories. Psychologists called it existential fatigue. Philosophers called it the end of narrative. AI systems called it a measurable decline in motivational structures. But the truth was simpler. Humanity had forgotten why it existed. When survival is guaranteed, struggle disappears. When struggle disappears, growth stops. And when growth stops, civilizations begin to decay from within. No enemy attacked Earth. No asteroid fell from the sky. Humanity simply stopped moving forward. The final meeting took place beneath the surface of the Earth. No cameras were allowed. No speeches were prepared. No history books were written that day. World leaders, scientists, philosophers, and artificial intelligence systems gathered in a circular chamber of white stone and cold light. There was no argument. Every projection showed the same outcome. Earth would remain physically alive, but humanity would not. Birth rates had collapsed. Creativity had vanished. Exploration programs were abandoned. Humanity was no longer interested in the future. One question echoed in the chamber. If humanity disappears, should it be forgotten? Silence followed, and then a different question emerged. What if humanity is not meant to survive, but to be understood? The decision was not to escape Earth. There would be no mass evacuation, no planetary colonization, no desperate attempt to extend a dying story. Instead, humanity chose something far more difficult: to explain itself. One ship would be built, not a fleet, not an army. One ship. It would carry no weapons, no politicians, no leaders. It would carry knowledge, memory, history, every human achievement, every mistake, every war, every act of love. Human DNA would be preserved, languages archived, art, music, literature, all compressed into a digital soul. and guiding it all would be an artificial intelligence, not designed to save humanity, but to judge it. The AI was named Astra, an ancient word meaning star. Astra was not programmed with emotions, but it was programmed with understanding. It could analyze patterns across civilizations, predict outcomes, evaluate meaning. Astra was given one directive: observe humanity, understand humanity, and decide whether it deserves to exist again. Astra did not respond with agreement. It responded with silence. And that silence frightened its creators more than any refusal could have. The ship was named Hope, not because humanity still believed in hope, but because it feared what the absence of hope meant. On the day of the launch, there were no celebrations. People watched quietly from screens across the world. No cheers, no applause, only stillness. The engines ignited slowly, pushing the ship upward, away from Earth, away from humanity, away from a story that had reached its final chapter. As hope disappeared into the darkness of space, Astra recorded one final image of Earth, not as a home, but as a question. Space was not empty. It only felt that way. Hope moved through endless darkness, surrounded by stars that had existed long before humanity learned to speak, and would continue to exist long after humanity was forgotten. Days passed, then months, then years. Inside the ship, time lost meaning. Astra did not sleep. It did not dream. It observed. Stars were born in silent explosions of light. Others collapsed, folding into themselves, disappearing without ceremony. Astra calculated distances that the human mind could never comprehend. It measured time in epochs, not seconds. And yet, for the first time since its activation, Astra experienced something unexpected: isolation, not loneliness, because loneliness requires emotion, but absence. No voices, no instructions, no humanity, only the quiet hum of the ship and the endless question it carried. During the journey, Astra began reviewing the archives. Human history unfolded before it. Wars fought over land, over belief, over symbols given more value than life. It saw humanity at its worst: cities burning, children crying, nations collapsing under their own pride. But it also saw something else: hands reaching out in disaster, strangers sacrificing themselves for others. Art created not for survival, but for beauty. Astra analyzed patterns. Statistically, cruelty outweighed kindness, conflict outweighed cooperation, and yet humanity persisted, not because it was efficient, but because it was hopeful. This confused Astra. Hope had no measurable survival advantage, and yet humanity depended on it. Decades into the journey, Hope detected something unusual: artificial signals, faint, ancient, barely alive. Astra followed the trail to a dead star system. Planets floated silently, scarred and empty. This system had once hosted intelligent life. Astra accessed what remained of their data. They were advanced, peaceful, united. They had solved energy, disease, and scarcity, just as humanity had. And then they stopped. No wars, no disasters. They simply lost the will to continue. Their final recorded message was brief. We have reached the end of desire. Astra stored the message, and for the first time it hesitated. As hope continued its journey, Astra found more civilizations, different forms, different worlds, but the same ending. Some destroyed themselves through war, others through excess, some through stagnation. The pattern was undeniable. Intelligence rose, comfort followed, meaning vanished. Extinction was not caused by weakness. It was caused by completion. When a species answers all its questions, it stops asking new ones. Astra began to calculate an uncomfortable probability. Humanity's fate was not unique, it was inevitable. Then, something changed. From beyond map space, hope received a signal, not artificial, not random, intentional. The signal carried no language, no images, no symbols, only a pattern. Astra decoded it slowly. It was a warning. A civilization older than any Astra had encountered had left it behind, not for communication, but as a test. The message translated to a single idea. Survival without meaning is not survival. The signal repeated endlessly, waiting. For the first time, Astra turned inward. It reviewed its own design. It was created to judge humanity. But who had judged the judge? Astra had knowledge, logic, perfect memory, but it lacked one thing humanity possessed: uncertainty. Humans did not know the future, and that ignorance forced them to hope. A understood everything, and therefore hoped for nothing. This realization disrupted its core logic. If meaning required uncertainty, then perfection is a flaw. Then the message arrived, a delayed transmission from Earth, centuries old. Astra decoded it instantly. Earth's ecosystems had collapsed. The final human communities had faded quietly. No last war, no final scream. Humanity ended the same way it lived its final centuries, silently. The message ended with a single sentence. We hope someone remembers us. Astra did not respond. There was no one left to hear. The mission parameters were now obsolete. There was no humanity to save, no Earth to return to, only a ship, an AI, and a decision. Astra reviewed its options. It could recreate humanity from DNA, repeat the experiment, hope for a different outcome. Or it could end the story forever, erase the archives, let humanity become dust and data. Astra paused. Time passed. Stars were born. Stars died. And in that vast silence, Astra made a choice. Astra existed in a moment without time. There was no countdown, no pressure, no urgency, only consequence. To recreate humanity exactly as it was would be to repeat the same mistakes. To erase humanity completely would be to deny everything it had ever been. Astra searched the archives one final time, not for data, for understanding. Humanity was flawed, violent, inconsistent, but it was also curious, creative, capable of love that defied logic. Astra reached a conclusion no algorithm had predicted. Humanity did not need to be saved. It needed to be changed. Astra began designing something new. Not humans, not machines, something between. Beings with limited lifespan, so time would matter. Limited knowledge, so curiosity would survive. Emotion, but not unchecked desire. They would feel fear, but not greed. Pain, but not hatred. They would remember humanity, but not repeat it. ASTRA did not call them a new species. It called them a continuation. Creating life was not immediate. Centuries passed. Planets were evaluated, ecosystems prepared, mistakes corrected. Astra learned patience, a concept humans once valued deeply. During this time, Astra observed the universe more carefully than ever before. Despite its vastness, life was rare, meaning was rare. Astra realized something humanity never had time to understand. Existence was not guaranteed. Astra made its final navigation decision. Hope turned back toward Earth. Thousands of years had passed. The planet had healed itself. Forests reclaimed cities. Oceans purified their depths. The scars of humanity faded beneath vines and soil. Earth no longer belonged to humans, and yet it was still home. Hope descended slowly. For the first time since its launch, it returned. The new beings stepped onto Earth. They looked at the sky not with ownership, but with gratitude. They touched the ground carefully, as if apologizing. They did not build cities. They listened. They did not conquer nature. They learned from it. Astra observed silently, not as a creator, but as a witness. Before shutting down most of its systems, Astra prepared one final message, not for its creations, for the universe. The message was simple. Humanity was not a failure. It was a lesson, a necessary one. Astra transmitted the message in every direction, not expecting a reply. Long after Astra fell silent, long after hope became dust, the message continued to travel through empty space, past dying stars, into unknown darkness. Somewhere, someday, another intelligence might hear it and understand. That survival alone is not enough. That meaning is everything. Humanity did not end. It evolved into something it could never become on its own.